Hey everybody, it's Randy with Carchaeology, and I want to introduce you to the needed light beat. Hey everybody, it's Randy with Carchaeology, and I want to give you a walk around of the latest arrival to the lab. This is a 1929 Ford Hot Rod that's got a really interesting history. So this badass traditional style 29 Ford sits on a 32 Ford frame. It's obviously got a 32 Ford grille on it. The engine that's in it is a 40s era Ford flathead. It's got wind heads and manifold. It's got the two Strombergs up top, Thixton oil filler breather dealy, and a whole bunch of other super trick stuff. And this particular car has a really fun history that has come to my attention after its arrival here. Once I posted up a couple of photos of this up onto social media, then wow, the information started flooding in, and that's one of the joys of our world today, is that it is a great way to meet people and reach people out there. So no sooner did I post a photo of this, a buddy of mine popped up and said, hey, I know that car, and I know the guy that built it. Hooked me up with the original builder. I talked to him, got the whole story on it, realized that this car does have a really fun history to it. I've also connected with another owner that was a part of it prior to it arriving here, and I'll tell you the quick story. So this car was built here in Southern California actually about 10 years ago. It was a project that started a number of years prior to that, but it was completed in 2014, just in time to go to the Grand National Roadster Show, which is an event that's coming up here fairly quick, and I'll get to more of that there. It was built by a gentleman by the name of Todd. He was a part of a car club called the Cavaliers down in Long Beach, California. And at one point, Todd mentioned to his club buddies that he wanted to build a Roadster. He'd love to do like a 29 or 28, 29 Roadster, had a vision in his head. And a couple of his buddies called him one day and said, hey, I have found a cowl and some doors at the local Long Beach swap meet. The dude wants $600 for it. I think it's a good buy. You should grab it. And unfortunately, Todd didn't have the cash to make it happen. The guys went back to the seller, pleaded with him to drop the price a little bit. They got it down to about $400. Contacted Todd again and said, hey, this is a smoking deal. You really got to grab it. But it wasn't meant to be. He just didn't have the coin to make it happen. But one of the joys of being in a club where you've got good buddies to watch your back, when Todd rolled home from work that day, went out back to let his dog out, that cowl and doors were sitting out in the backyard, and his buddies had bought it for him. In any case, that started the whole vision there. And from that point on, he started building this car, first in his mind, then in his garage. And as it came close to the Grand National Roadster Show, the club was really looking to finish off another car to have there for their display in the Suede Palace. And so all the club bros stepped in again to help put this car together and bring it to the event. And at the event, it was highly regarded. In fact, everybody loved it so much, it won Best in Show at the Suede Palace at the Grand National Roadster Show that year, 2014. Really, really awesome. What wasn't known to the judges was that the car was not running and driving at that point. Lights weren't working, so on and so forth. The car was really unfinished, but it looked incredible. Very traditional build, done the way that they would have done them back in the day. Todd had told me that his whole plan was to not have any items on this car that would be any newer than about 1949, and that he certainly accomplished. In any case, shortly after the show there in 2014, Todd relocated to another part of the country, and he brought the Roadster with him. He continued to work on it for a few years, and got it a little bit closer to being done. It was running and driving, but really not totally dialed in. In any case, he ended up swapping this with a collector in Texas that is a long-time hot rodder and custom car guy that knows what he's doing. He swapped a knucklehead Harley to Todd for this Roadster, and then he took it on to go through it again, really dial it in, get it running and driving properly. He pulled the engine apart, redid some stuff there, did a new transmission in it. He installed the Halleck windshield here. The car was displayed at the show without a windshield and really kind of needed that to be a driver. In any case, he went all the way through it, chromed some more bits and stuff, and got the car dialed in, showed it in Texas, and drove it around a fair bit, but then decided that he wanted something a little bit bigger, and so he ended up swapping the car with a guy in Pennsylvania that had a 35 Ford Roadster, and well, the rest is history. So now this car has come out here to California, returning to California, and it is here at the lab, and I am going to do a little bit more work to it, perhaps change a few things, but for the most part, leave it pretty much the way that it is. I am planning on bringing it out to the Roadster Show here at the beginning of February, 10 years after its debut there. And it'll be fun to share it with folks that remember it from back then. So let me walk you through some of the details on this car that make it pretty special. Now, this is an all steel body build, again, using all parts that were available, or good quality reproductions of pieces that would have only been available in 1949 or older, trying to stick with a very traditional hot rod style to it. A lot of design cues on this particular car were pulled off of some historic builds of the day, including some photos of those cars here so that you can kind of see where the inspiration was. The Jack Calori Roadster was one car that was an inspiration. That's a car that belongs to a good buddy of mine named Billy, that's actually quite local, as well as some others. The headlight stanchion shock mount pieces there, that was something that he saw on a particular car back in the day, replicated those. It's a very firm setup, puts the headlights up tall and proud, gives the car a unique look compared to stuff that's been built in more modern day. Lots of cool stuff on the motor. Obviously the Wyand heads and manifold are cool pieces. The Stromberg 97s are reproductions, but good quality ones. Really killer cast aluminum air cleaner. The exhaust and everything very simple. Shoots straight out here just in front of the rear wheels. These pieces here are also done to replicate a car that he saw back in the day, with the mounting onto the 32 frame rails there with that triangular shaped piece. The windshield obviously is just one really super sexy piece. A lot of people look at this windshield and think of it as a Duval windshield, but it's actually a Halleck windshield. Now, Halleck was a local manufacturer in Orange County based in Fullerton, and his design was based on the Auburn Speedster windshield back in the day. And these windshields he started doing in the 40s. In fact, I found a photo of one of these. It was dated around 1945. That had that same thing. This is a reproduction windshield here. Obviously, the glass is new, but it gives it a really rakish look. And I've got to say, behind the wheel, it actually does really good with keeping the wind off your face. So the steering wheel is, of course, just a basic big, bold Model A steering wheel. The horn button is a really cool thing, a kind of nod to World War II aviation with the Boeing logo on there. I love that. The dashboard in this car, I think this is out of a 35 or 36 Ford. I'm not exactly sure. I know there's some minor differences with the shape of the glove box and the ashtray and that sort of thing. I'm sure one of you guys will know exactly what it is. But I absolutely love the look from the driver's seat, looking at all these gauges here, looking at the sort of funhouse mirror of a ashtray right there. It's pretty cool. Cool little glove box knob on there as well. Definitely a cool scene, and it makes it feel much more custom, much more fun. And I dig it. Now, the interior is done in this kind of vintage tweed material. I think this was actually from like a 40s or 50s era car seat cover set. And I've seen this sort of material used on that before. And I think what they did is just kind of wrapped the foam that's underneath there with one of those old seat covers. The problem with it is that material gets a little brittle over time, and underneath the blanket here, there's a big rip in the seat right about there. So that I threw an old vintage blanket on it just so that it covers that rip. But I may get in here and redo this interior. Also, when it was finished off, it was not totally done down here underneath the dash, inner panels and stuff there. There's nothing to it. So I think spending a little bit of time in here trying to keep it very period, but up it just a little bit so that it matches the quality of the car would be a wise move. Back here, Mercury hubcaps all the way around, big bias plies, bigs and littles there, 39 Ford taillights with blue dots in them, cool little auto lamp 151 license plate light. The deck lid here is a louvered aluminum piece. I also have a matching polished aluminum hood and side panels. Louvers in the side panels are very cool and match one of the historic cars that Todd had used as an inspiration for it. Another fun little thing here, this World War II gasoline ration sticker is a cool piece here on the back side. It says, "Please keep your speed under 35 to save tires." Well, I don't think I'll be doing that, and I imagine I'm going to wear these back ones down a little bit, spinning them a bit out there on the road. Let's see, down underneath here, there's a banjo-style rear end. It's got a 39 Ford Trans. It's a 3-speed. It's got 40 Ford brakes, juice brakes all the way around. Runs and stops and goes pretty damn good. It is 12-volt electric, so can have some reliable bright lighting and that sort of thing, and I'm really stoked to have it here. So the plan is further fun with it, dialing it in, doing the interior, getting it running and driving properly, bringing it out, sharing it with some folks, and sharing the story of this historic hot rod with as many people as possible. There's a lot of super fun stuff in digging up the history of this car that is really inspiring. You know, the club connection of the Cavaliers with it, the plan of the original builder in his head, all of his buddies coming together to help make this thing happen, winning a prestigious award at one of the biggest shows in Southern California. Totally cool stuff. So I will explore some more history of the car as we get into it further. I just wanted to do a quick little walk around and kind of introduce you to the project, and also to invite you to follow along with updates on social media, on our Instagram account. If you look up Buggin' Box on Instagram, that's BUGNBOX, you will find my account, and I'm hashtagging photos and video of this car as Mr. Toad 29. So that is, of course, a nod to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, the ride at Disneyland, as well as the Wind in the Willows story from 1908 is when that first started. In any case, Mr. Toad has always been an inspiration to me. He was a wild and crazy guy, totally obsessed with the motor car, and well, I can kind of relate to that. So, Mr. Toad, the Model A, is here, and I'm ready to play. Open horizons, turn the key, let's rumble this thing off into the sunset. Thank you so much for watching. Keep on digging them up and driving them. Bye-bye.